The return of the Mana series is almost here. Visions of Mana is the newest entry in the Mana series, and it is coming out on the 29th of August, and we have the opportunity to review it early. And also we did an early preview of it, so check it out on the top right corner. And let's just say, if you're a veteran, you'll feel right at home with this classic of the Mana series, while if you're a newcomer, this might just be the best starting point for you. So let's talk about it. Starting off strong with the world, it is absolutely beautiful, and it might just be one of the most beautifully designed worlds in modern RPGs, thanks to the developers at Oka Studios. The last game that gave us a strong impression of this fantasy fairy tale style world was Final Fantasy IX. And while we don't think graphics are the most important thing in the world, the push for better graphics in this game certainly made it one of its strongest selling points, and it really adds to the enjoyment of the storytelling and exploration. And speaking of exploration, we are also pleased to see how the exploration in this game makes full use of this beautiful world, making things feel really interactive and alive. There are lots of resources to find, from chests, materials, and grizzly syrup. Each place has some kind of parkour required, and there are various challenging trials to take part in. And for those of you who enjoy stories, there are also a bunch of side quests available throughout the world. Elements will also play a huge role in your exploration, and it provides you with a bunch of new mechanics to play with. So for example, wind will make you fly higher, water will let you explore underwater, and wood will help you in platforming. The combination of these elements makes it really fun to experiment and explore. Elements will also play a huge role in combat. Now, JRPGs by Square Enix are often turn-based, but the Mana series is still staying true to its tree roots with its action gameplay. As with prior Mana games, you have 3 party members, they can wield elemental powers, and launch normal and heavy attacks. They can also equip various skills regardless of their element, with the use of seeds. And there is also a system that basically gives each character multiple ways to play, called Elemental Vessels. Elemental Vessels are a unique system that lets a character inherit an element and change their class. So for example, when you equip the Moon Vessel, Val will become an Aegis, but Mortley, another character, becomes a Nightblade. So there will be many combinations between characters and their elemental vessels to explore, which makes each character feel really special to play. And besides this, you can change weapons, which changes their fighting style, their ultimate skills, as well as their appearance. So there's lots of experimentation for you to do. While this sounds fun on paper, putting it to practice is a different story. So you see, the Mana series is pretty old, and its combat has basically stayed the same, so there's not much evolution in the combat that makes it stand out in this latest entry. Though if it works, it works. Problem is, the stiff and unresponsive feeling of the combat has yet to evolve from the series as well. For example, you must come to a full stop to use items, but you can unintentionally use an item twice because the delay from the first item is just really long. There's also status effects in this game, and some of them are just annoying to deal with, for example, freeze. And is it a skill issue? Well, maybe. But games usually have something called tells, which tell the player when an enemy is going to do something, like attack or do something special, usually in some sort of animation or a glow of some sorts. And in this game, some enemies, but not all, just don't really have this, or it's really tough to spot. So it can be tough to tell when something's going to happen. And in the case of status effects, well, we just get frozen out of nowhere. Perhaps some sort of build-up mechanic would make things less frustrating, where the status effect applies only after being hit multiple times. Overall, the combat can sometimes get really fast-paced, yet the unresponsiveness to the controls does not really complement this feeling too well, which is what we meant by stiff and unresponsive. The story of the Mana series revolves around the Tree of Mana, that is a large tree of mana, and it plays a vital role in maintaining life on this world. But it holds a much darker and tragic means to this goal, where a sacrifice is needed to maintain the mana. In Visions of Mana, we play as a swordsman named Val, and we accompany the Alm, who are representatives of each element, and our goal is to bring them to their demise. The Mana Tree. Despite its adorable and colorful presentation, the story has a few heavy themes, one of which is the sacrifice, and the game doesn't hesitate to show these tragic moments in the story, yet at the same time, a bunch of warm interactions between characters in this massive world. Overall, we still think that Visions of Mana, as a new entry to the Mana series, has definitely been worth the wait. We are really amazed by its stunning presentation of its world, along with the rewarding and interactive exploration, unique character class systems that are just begging to be experimented with, and the warm and cozy adventure. Visions of Mana is certainly a classic of the Mana series. We still think the combat could use some tweaks to be less frustrating, and the overarching plot of the story is rather predictable. But we think that veteran players will certainly feel right at home with the classic story of the Mana series, while newcomers will likely get a great first impression from this game's beautiful presentation. So, will you be trying Visions of Mana? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for future game reviews like this one.